If everyone could please have a seat. We would like all judges to be in the front row, please. All judges in the front row. If you are an adult and you have an envelope that looks like this, please bring it to us at this time. If you have an envelope that looks like this, please bring it to us now.
Already for your students to have not known the issues, not known each other, and come in and to have such spectacular presentations. Incredible. Awesome job. We do have 3 groups that have moved to the finals, 2 on traffic and safety and 1 on homelessness. So what our end of the day is going to be is we're going to listen to 3 presentations. They'll have questions from the judges, and then we will award a winner, clap, and go through our day. So one huge round of applause for your students today, for all of you. Awesome job. I can also say we've been doing this for 14 years, and the presentations were at high level. That was great. All right, so the group Reducing Deaths at Intersections and Crosswalks, Devin, Helena, Chase's group, come on up.
Just so you know, the structure is going to be just the same as it was for the semifinals. You will have 8 minutes. I will be down here, right here in this corner, timing you down to the second, as some of my groups know. I will be timing you. I will give you the 1-minute warning, and then I'll let you know when you're done. No, they just clicked off the laptop. Does it need to play audio? I don't know. I didn't have it hooked up for audio, but it might. This is the one that's plugged in.
Yeah, it doesn't. It won't be able to.
Oh.
Okay, and then like, shoot.
You stand however you want.
Do you have 2 mics?
Whoever's talking should move. I don't think this one is on.
Okay, we can just use this one. Yeah. Okay. Okay, get in the line so we can go do names.
Okay, so we do like
Are we introducing ourselves by the way? So how are we going to do that? Well, whoever's last. Hello, and welcome. Our presentation is Reducing Deaths at Intersections and Crosswalks. My name is Booth Hayes. I'm a junior from Meade High School.
My name's Helena Huja. I'm a junior from Frederick High School.
My name's Chase. I'm a junior from Silver Creek High School.
I'm Julian. I'm a junior from Frederick.
And I'm Devin. I'm a junior from Silver Creek.
I'm Erin. I'm a junior from Silver Creek High School.
I'm Liam, and I'm a junior at Frederick.
Now let me start this off by asking you guys a question. How many of you have been affected by somebody who's been in a car accident, or you yourself have been in a car accident? Most of you, right? So that brought us to our main point. Driving is a crucial part of the American culture. But then again, when does it become dangerous, and how can we rewrite that narrative in the United States?
All right, so looking at these different reasons of why this is an issue, we start with the fact that in 2024, there were 684 people that were killed by way of a car accident in Colorado. That is a terrifying statistic for drivers. So this problem can be attributed to many different aspects of society, and every community is different, but some of our more broad concerns include the following. So American culture is very suburbanized. People are far away from their lives and their jobs, and it makes it difficult to be able to rely on walking to where you need to get. So a couple of different ideas are the fact that you can use public transit, but sometimes people don't want to do that because of the idea of having to not have the convenience of a vehicle. And just in general, a lot of reckless drivers and reckless pedestrian behavior can contribute to this problem too.
And then for our interview, we interviewed with Lynn Eckhart from Innovation Center. She is a social media expert. There's a video, which we do not have time to play, but basically she just talks about the technology advancements in vehicles and how the alerts of notifications or messages or GPS or even music can distract the driver from paying attention to the road, as well as the pedestrians or the people in the bike lane.
A quote from Officer Madison: "People have free will and they are going to do what they want to do." Basically, what I believe she's underlying and the idea she's trying to convey is people always do what is most convenient for them, meaning people will continue to cross the road in areas they're not meant to, leading to more fatalities. We can try to implement safety precautions like crosswalks, flashing lights, and even speed bumps, but people will continue doing what's easiest for them. We just need to find a way to educate people for the better about road laws and how to make them safer, because it's just going to keep getting worse.
Okay. So, in 2020 alone, there were 10,166 crashes in Colorado. That is not in the past 5 years, that is not in the past 10 years. In 1 year, 10,000 crashes, all caused by distracted drivers. Over 90% of Colorado drivers self-report that they have driven distracted. That is an epidemic of distracted drivers that can lead to injuries and death. Pedestrians in Colorado have, pedestrians in Colorado have, I can't read this, sorry. Pedestrian deaths in Colorado have increased by 77% since 2018. That is almost double the amount.
And then we also wanted to make note of the Colorado's Department of Transportation's campaign, Shift into Safe, which basically just influences youth drivers to pay attention on the road, as well as talks about the victims of people who have been affected by distracted driving or their families.
All right, so we also decided to take a step back and look at other countries. In Germany, there is a much more stricter standard in order to get a driver's license. They have more complex, comprehensive theory and practical training to be able to drive. It takes almost 2 years to get a license in Germany, and that has paid off. They have a ratio of 3.9 deaths per 100,000 people, while America's ratio is 12.4 deaths.
Okay, I'm just going to go over a couple of recommendations to help resolve this issue. First of all, people first planning and infrastructure in cities. If we can prioritize pedestrians and bicyclists in cities, then this will have an immediate and profound change. This will immediately help prevent deaths throughout the entire country. If we can increase commercial density to incentivize walking just by changing some city planning and reallocating some funds, then that will reduce the prevalence of motor vehicles in cities and just make it easier to get around by walking. Of course, this comes with the considerations that it is, of course, very expensive, and of course might not be as efficient as it could be until it is fully implemented. But Then, of course, public transportation. It's not directly mentioned on this slide, but a study conducted by the American Public Transportation Association found that cities which utilize public transportation have a reduction of traffic fatalities of up to 40%. That is extremely dramatic and a very worthwhile consideration, even in spite of the investment and the fact that cities are built for cars, so it would, of course, require some restructuring of existing cities. And then, of course, road and city structure improvements. Implementing more roundabouts, more elevated crosswalks like the one shown in this picture. Narrower roads to just make it more difficult to drive and make people drive slower in densely populated areas. Bike lanes so that people can get around easier on bicycles. While retrofitting existing infrastructure is expensive and requires time and planning, is it really, I mean, how much is too much when it comes to saving lives?
Upgrading infrastructure is crucial to the reduction in accidents, but ultimately it is up to the people. If drivers are being unsafe, regardless of how safe infrastructure is, there will be accidents. In order to help mitigate this, we have decided that there should be periodic driver's tests to renew your licenses, as well as longer, more rigorous driver's ed courses and refresher courses. While this may seem convenient and annoying and nobody wants to go to the DMV and take another test, it is important for saving lives. People will die if there are irresponsible drivers on the road that do not know what they're doing.
Okay, finally, the city's priority is people's safety. Change is hard and many officials are actively trying to implement infrastructure to help, but it takes time. And then if it hasn't affected you yet, it will. In insignificant ways, it affects you without even realizing. And then we often see these situations around us, but oftentimes don't understand how it affects us. And then, of course, we need participation.
Hi, I have a question, especially as your 2018 statistic. Was there any correlation or causation in distracted driving after the legalization of marijuana in Colorado?
Yes, it was really big in Colorado, as 15% of the crashes in 2023, I think, were based on just DUIDs, driving under the influence of drugs, especially with legalization of marijuana.
Might be it. Any more questions?
You took some improvements.
All good?
I'm just waiting for him to.
Just start with your name.
All right, my name is Ben.
My name is Cheyenne.
I'm Hadley.
My name is Ulrich.
I'm Connor.
I'm Cole.
Asa, and our topic today is the homelessness in the Longmont and surrounding areas.
So we'll start off with some statistics. We know from the Colorado census there is a 150% increase in chronic homelessness. That's people who will experience homelessness throughout their entire life. There's people who are experiencing substance abuse or mental health issues, and that is 31 to 44% of the homeless population, which is mostly individuals, and so we want to help provide a structure for them that will subsidize for a family. And we know from our St. Vrain Valley School District homelessness rep, there's a 3-time increase on the amount of money required to make a lease on a home and a property in our community. This is the graph of the increase. So for the structure, one of the things we learned the most is that it's very hard to navigate all these different things alone. There's healthcare, employment, housing, mental health services, and most of these people don't have a car or a way to get to each of them. So we want to keep encouraging connection between those people, employers who have access to their employees' mental health counselor, and we want housing which keeps people engaged, which doesn't remove people from housing simply because they fault if they get back into drug using, because we know a lot of people who go into these programs are not able to stay there simply because they may relapse. So we want to incentivize them to take better care of their unit and stay sober without throwing them back into homelessness by just moving them down a tier level like what's been done in Portland, Oregon.
There's a vast number of issues why there's so many homeless people in Colorado and in Longmont, and we just decided to pick 2 topics that were more important and more impactful to this.
So today we chose to focus on affordable housing, and we'll talk about our solution, which is tiny homes. And then for substance abuse and mental health, we're going to talk about rapid rehousing and rehabilitation centers.
There's also a quote by Genevieve Clayton. It says, "Normalize in needing help and helping neighbors," which really stood out to us that we need to communicate to our society.
All right, so first we're going to talk about getting individuals and families off the streets through rehabilitation. So the first thing is our program called the Rapid Rehousing, which is a federally funded program that has been used throughout the country in many states. It's even been used here in Denver and has worked. It's a type of transitional housing that gets individuals and families help quickly and off the streets into housing. So they can return to permanent housing. The most important thing is it's offered without preconditions. So one of the things we learned while talking outside in interviews with police officers is that many of our programs here in Longmont require people to be sober and stay sober. And if they're not capable of that, they're either kicked out and they're not able to continue those programs. And so this helps people get into housing and then eventually out of sobriety or into sobriety. And so the first 2 steps are housing identification and rapid rehousing. And so that goal, it's a partnership between landlords. And so we find houses that we can get people into and unique to their circumstances. And then there's also rent and move-in assistance to help with the costs associated with move-in.
All right, along with the rapid rehousing, we need to focus on rehabilitation and case management. What is case management? That is to provide necessary resources and aid to the homeless population and the people who need it. To provide case management to families means to support their children with before school as well as after school care. And with just individuals struggling, this is focusing more on the rehabilitation side. Some stuff that my group has come up with would be a rehabilitation homeless shelter, which is open 24/7, allows the homeless people to stay overnight, and they don't have to be required to be sober to go. Hopefully over time they do manage to get sober through therapies, and we're looking into the research of psychedelic therapy, which has been seen to help treat addiction. So along with this, we need to follow the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is this triangle. Many homeless people do not have this base right here of just the basic needs, which means that this whole triangle doesn't really apply to them and they're not very safe and secure.
For our affordable homes, we came up with the idea of tiny homes because they will be incorporating the community within pre-existing communities and will cut building time in half, which makes costs go down as well.
So something specific we wanted to exemplify is that although this may be affordable housing, we are referring to it more as tiny homes because as Robert from the Affordable Housing Group alluded to, he said that affordable housing has an image that we all think of, and we need to get rid of that because this is what we're trying to change. And although it's a much cheaper program, it should help with this homelessness situation. We need to address the ideas of NIMBYism, the financial limitations, lifestyle adjustments, and legal issues. And we need to make sure that they're all going to be able to be incorporated into our communities.
Now, of course, with anything bureaucratic, there are limitations and consequences. A primary limitation is that funding is a huge issue with any programs like this. With these rehab centers, of course, you have funding as a problem because these rehab centers are, of course, responsible for being open 24/7, and they have to maintain a staff that can work 24/7. Now, and what happens with rehab centers nowadays is that these workers are being paid minimum wage, and so you'll have to have around numbers of 50 workers at a time working to maintain and oversee all of the processes in these rehab centers.
In these rehab centers, it also needs to be aware that, especially if we make one where homeless people don't need to be sober to go into, this might make them incentivized to not get sober because they think, oh, I can just live here and keep doing drugs. Also, some therapies, such as psychedelic, have been studied and they have benefits, but that means that bipolar and schizophrenic people cannot partake in these because this will send them off the deep end.
Additionally, with housing, there are, of course, problems with funding. Again, there are a lot of Colorado Congress is having a large budgeting issue this year. We overspent last year. And so we need to manage our finances when it comes to constructing houses. Additionally, with the program of houses that are being built on these plots owned by separate nonprofit entities, is that you have construction companies coming in and competing internally on these things that are built for the purpose of supplying homes that may actually drive competition within lower income housing. Thank you.
Test. It works. So I had a quick question, and you might have answered it, but when we start looking at data, what would qualify someone as unhoused or homeless? Is it a month? Is it a day? What threshold is met, and then they're counted in some of those statistics you were showing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest parts of our plan is keeping people out of chronic homelessness and kind of rapid intervention, getting people help as soon as we can, because we know the longer they're in the system or the longer they don't have access to it, the higher probability it is that they will never get out of it. So I would argue that if you're unhoused, if you don't have a place to go, these resources should be available to anyone from the moment that's happening.
I'm also going to add something. So I think defining that is really hard because when we were looking at data in Colorado, we were looking at the housing reports, and it was anywhere from 14,000 to 134,000 people are homeless. So we don't have a definition, and that's why that data is such a big range.
Oh, we can hear you.
So he's a counselor in the district, and he works with homeless families as well as the children in the district. His name's Luis, and he showed me that pyramid when we were talking, and it just really moved me because I was like, wow, this really does apply to everyone's lives and everyday life. And just the fact that homeless people are so stuck at the bottom really limits them from even self-improvement. Very cool. Any more questions? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jackson Parker. I'm from Longmont High School.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Gonzalez. I go to Frederick High School and I'm a senior.
Hi, I'm Tori French. I go to Meade High School and I'm a junior.
My name is Emily Gill. I go to Longmont High School and I'm a junior.
My name is Eric Ross and I go to Frederick High School and I'm a junior.
My name is Sammy Denny. I go to Lyons High School and I'm a senior.
So our issue is how do we address pedestrian safety and balance it with cost, time, and efficiency? So can I just see a show of hands? Who here in the last year has jaywalked? So pretty much everybody. So that's where the issue lies, is when this isn't just an issue you can solve with one simple solution with one group of people. This is a very diverse and complex subject where you can't just identify one issue. You have to identify the problem as a whole, because at the end of the day, it's the pedestrians, it's the drivers, it's the city, it's the government, and it's the roads themselves. So you need to work together to make a solution that benefits everybody.
All right, how is this a problem here in Colorado, and specifically Longmont? We can see this in Main Street. Main Street is crowded, congested, and quite frankly dangerous. There's cars parked on both sides of the roads. It is wide. It's dangerous to cross at some points, and it's difficult. According to CDOT, fatalities of pedestrians has increased 77% since 2018.
And this is a more personal issue than most realize. About 2 years ago, a dear friend of mine, TJ Mogensen, was hit by a car going 10 over the speed limit on a street outside our school.
And then we came up with two different types of solutions. The one that I'm presenting is proactive solutions. These are solutions that are designed to prevent dangerous situations such as a fatal car accident. These require more time, planning, and funding to be completed. The two that we have are driver's education improvement and then road dieting. Driver's education. We propose that all driver's education should be mandatory and in person with an emphasis on pedestrian safety while driving. It costs $33 to get your license and it costs $21 to get your instructor's permit. By raising these prices, we can enforce this more and have better driver's education for everyone. Our cons for this, though, are free will. If you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it, and that's just how everything works. If this becomes a public school class, we have the problem of homeschool and private school kids would not have the same access to this as everyone who attends public school. And then we have a shortage of educators in the public school system right now, and that would just require adding an extra class and an extra teacher to teach it. The pros of it, though, are engaged learning. If you're in person, it shows that you're going to learn better than you did on iPads. We all saw that from COVID. And then it saves time and money, and it's a more familiar learning environment, which promotes better learning.
So another idea is road dieting. And this is kind of the idea of in this 4-lane road is cut down to a road that's more friendly for traffic as a whole. And it's much safer because, one, there's designated bike lanes, so bikers are off sidewalks and have their own spot. And there's a designated turn lane, so that helps not disrupt the flow of traffic as much, which is safer for every single driver. And also, public transport can have designated lanes as well. And lane weaving and different flows of traffic going the same direction can be increasingly dangerous, and road dieting can help us combat that.
Public transportation also plays a part in it because of its ability to both reduce traffic and have an impact on air quality. High quality and affordable public transit systems also help people find and keep jobs, according to the Colorado Fiscal Institute. Further, recently Colorado has recorded some of the worst air quality in the entire world. By implementing public transportation, it would severely cut this down. Some cons of this include reduction in parking spaces, new markings, and unfamiliar roads. Further, we spoke to Myra Morrissey, a former ER nurse, who furthered this by saying, we wouldn't lose road efficiency if people relied on public transportation.
Earlier we mentioned proactive solutions. We also have reactive solutions. So solutions designed to reward and punish certain situations, which are typically more quickly enacted. So these can include speed cameras and increased visibility and signage. So speed and red light cameras, essentially they're just cameras that record digital video of traffic violations, and violators will receive a ticket in the mail. So some pros of this would be it would help us find and punish reckless drivers more efficiently without stretching the already limited resources of police officers. And according to the Cochrane Collaborations review, they found that speed safety cameras can reduce crashes near their locations by 8%.
This afternoon, we spoke briefly with Officer Martinez about police resources and how difficult it is to enforce these traffic laws. They said that we can't just simply pull over every single traffic violator, especially with, our safety and others' safety is important, especially with our already limited resources. This just goes to show how tough it would be to implement these legal solutions. However, we have a less resource-heavy solution here. It's clearly marked signage. How does this impact drivers? Well, flashing crosswalk signs, that's a good way to slow drivers down in pedestrian areas. We also have like rumble strips. That's another good way to let people know that they are in pedestrian areas. Transition signs, this also shows how drivers, when they're coming off of a highway into like a residential area, that there is a greater risk of pedestrians. There's also pedestrian hybrid beacons. These are basically stoplights in long stretches of road where it would be like a hefty walk to the next crosswalk where you could cross safely. These are activated by pedestrians who need to cross the road, and it safely stops traffic so that they can cross the road. These solutions are quick to implement, and they are very cost effective. However, the money for this has to come from somewhere, which is either a tax increase or budget cuts in other areas.
Now, how do we really implement this in Colorado? So what that would look like, so we picked two of our big ideas for you guys, and that is road dieting and increased visibility and signage. So road dieting is extremely cost effective, it's cheap to implement, and then it's very cost beneficial in the long term. You can actually lead to decreased spending and increased revenue. And then increased visibility and signage is easy to implement. It's quick, it's simple, you can do it quickly, nobody's gonna be in the way too much, and it's cheap, and it's not gonna cause a big argument with the bureaucrats. Secondly, funding. You have local and federal government grants is where we're looking towards, and high charges on reckless driving and high violation speeding tickets. And lastly, the importance of this issue. So again, our quote from Maya Morrissey, an ER nurse who we spoke with today, said, pedestrians were some of the biggest cases that she's seen in the hospital. This isn't some faraway issue. This isn't happening in some distant place. It's happening right now, and it's very dangerous. Efficiency shouldn't have to come at the cost of lives. Statistically, children in older age groups are more at risk of pedestrian accidents. So why should our most vulnerable groups be left at risk? Thank you for your time.
I have a question about the speed bumps and rumble strips that you're looking to implement. Did you do any research or find any research about noise pollution and maybe the pushback by homeowners or those in the local community?
So I guess they would be implemented in areas that were more like transitioning, so there wouldn't be too many homes. Like when you're getting off the highway or you're transitioning from a main highway to like a residential area or a residential area in Longmont, it's just making drivers more aware that they're not in an area where 65 miles per hour is okay, and like there are going to be people crossing the road. And we also found that just 10 miles per hour from 30 to 40 miles per hour increases fatalities by 50, was it 50? 25%. By 25%. So just that simple fact of making people more aware of where they actually are would help stop it.
Did you look at any data on doing driver's education for different age groups?
So we had looked at it, and we found that in New York specifically, their driver's education program, since you can start it at 14 and 11 months before you get it, you have a longer time to go through the course. But New York has one of the best education programs in the country, and that's why their streets specifically are a lot safer than ours are right now.
I kind of meant age groups. So you've got young people, people that are 30, people that are 50, people that are 80. Do you think that driver's education would help any of this if those were implemented in the different age
Yeah,
groups?
absolutely. I mean, I'm a firm believer that driver's courses and tests should be an option to have done, maybe not annually, but close to maybe every 10 years, especially for people of a certain age, to make sure we're still up with that cognitive ability. And obviously we have the, not that we found, no, not any direct statistics for you. Sorry about that.
Okay, I just read in the Daily Camera yesterday that RTD ridership is down. Do you guys have any ideas on how to increase ridership, increase interest in taking a bus?
Yeah, so, well, the big thing we looked at is incentives, making people want to actually use public transportation or not, be the only passenger in their car is a big thing. So we, like, in New York, on the subways or even the buses, they have free Wi-Fi. If somebody can, during their 30-minute ride, they can get work done, they can, sit on their laptop and zone out. That's a big benefit. Having cleaner buses, nicer areas to relax. Obviously, some people's concerns is hygiene. So that's one area we can start to make everybody feel, I guess, more inclined to use a rideshare service or a bus.
Thanks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Okay, we're going to take a few minutes. We're going to let the judges deliberate. So they're going to be making their final decisions. If the judges would like to move to a different space to do that, that's okay. So they're probably going to give feedback to each of the groups that presented, and they'll let us know who is our final winner. In the meantime, some individuals in this room have been nominated for an individual leadership award. So all of the staff that has been walking around today, we have been watching you, and we have been listening to you. And now I see panicked faces in the room. It's a good thing. So, staff members have nominated individuals to receive an award today. So while the judges are deliberating on our winning team, we're going to announce the name of those individuals, and we'd like you to come up and receive your award that you can take with you. Okay, so first up, we have Sienna Reed. Next up, we have Abigail Rogers. Yeah, come on down here. The first person just isn't here yet. So, then we have Ben Rorda. It's okay, you can just, yeah. Our next recipient is Yesenia Samaniego. Did I get that right? Oh, good. And then we have Alexis Reyes. Then we have Helena Ahua. And lastly, for our individual award, we have Connor Falls. We're going to have you stand together for a photo.
All right, one more thing before we get the judges award. First, if you could raise your hand if you talked to a local leader today and felt listened to. Awesome. If you could raise your hand if you met someone cool from another school today. Okay, that's awesome. And 3, can you raise your hand if you learned something or felt interested in a local issue that you didn't know about before? All right, let's consider today a success. Give yourselves another round of applause. So just remember, one of our themes of doing Democracy Day is democracy is not a spectator sport, right? It's becoming active, engaged, critical thinkers and problem solvers, and that's what we saw from you today. So when you leave today, you should feel very proud of your efforts. We're really glad you came. We're going to now hear for the finals which group will win doing Democracy Day. Once the judges identifies a group, if they could come up and we have a medal for the group.
They're going, okay, who wins? Who wins? Who? Is it Connor again? I haven't met a lot of you, but I'm very impressed. Shh. Are you done? I have grandchildren your age. I want to say, number one, all 3 of you, it was just amazing. It was kind of like, oh crap, what do we do? So at the end of the day, the last one, pedestrian safety, is the winner, based on your solutions and your sources, particularly New York City. Congratulations.